Welcome to the swearing-in ceremony for new councillor for the town of Annapolis Royal. We are very pleased to have Paul Weir with us this evening. And without further ado, I'm going to ask him to read the oath of allegiance.
Thank you very much, Emery. So, hand on Bible, the council members of the allegiance of office. I, Paul Weir, swear that I will faithfully and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, or
That should
His
be
Majesty
His Majesty
King Charles
III,
III,
right?
his
Yes.
heirs and successors, according to law. And that I duly qualified as required by law for the office of councillor of the town of Annapolis Royal. And that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability. And that I will not receive and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
And this has been sworn at the town of Annapolis Royal in the county of Annapolis, this 7th day of June 2023 before me. I will sign the copies and will make the necessary changes to reflect the change in kingship. So, and these to you. Thank you. And welcome, Paul.
Congratulations and welcome. Great.
So I'm going to call the committee of the whole to order on June the 7th at 6:01. I would like to acknowledge that we are on the Mi'kmaq, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Everybody's present, no regrets. Additions to the agenda, we have one, right?
Correct.
And that would be under new business.
Yes,
So
to appoint the animal control person.
14.
Yes.
So approval of the agenda. You know, in this consent.
Mhm.
Approval of the committee of the whole minutes of May the 3rd, 2023. Any changes?
No.
Hearing none, that's approval by unanimous consent as well. Presentations. We have a staff service award.
We do. So it's my pleasure this evening to announce that we have a certificate of recognition from the town of Annapolis Royal for 5 years service, of outstanding service in the role of active living coordinator for the town by Noah Scanlon. And unfortunately, he's not here this evening to receive this. But thanks to the staff, we have a few notes about his accomplishments. He started with the town the fall of 2013 in a term position as the MPAL Active Living Coordinator and became full-time as of 2017. And for all of our information, I didn't know what MPAL stood for. It's called Municipal Physical Activity Leadership. And this will help us with another item in the package later. The first upgrades to the Grant Potter Memorial Park were completed in 2015, thanks to his work. Patty's Park is also the name of the dog's park, and that work was completed in 2018. He's worked on many trail upgrades and grants along the way, and we know that every year he files many grants on behalf of the town. The gym was retrofitted with LED lights, thanks to his work. He's increased the number of activities at the gym once the town had ownership of the facility. Numerous grants for the trail work, water refill stations, picnic tables, bike racks, repair station, the bike repair station that we have. He's also worked with the Blue Bike Route on possible bike lanes in town, and he's currently working on a 5-year strategic plan for the apartment. So this is a well-deserved award. We'll make sure he gets it.
Here,
Congratulations.
never mind the programming that he puts in play, right?
Yeah, that's a full time.
Full time of itself. Okay. Fantastic. Public input, we have no public input. So we're on to new and unfinished business, municipal planning strategy amendments, the first reading, step two.
Let me go start.
Mhm.
Okay, I would recommend the council to have first reading of the municipal planning strategy amendments.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor,
Aye.
motion's passed.
There's a second part to that I could read as well, if you'd like. To recommend that council set the date for the public hearing as July 19th, 2023 at 5 p.m.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, request.
That-
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry, that's just so we'll have the public hearing to hear any concerns the public have. But this is the mandatory provincial rules to change the MPS or the LUB. And it's just to add that we have to notify our neighbors when we have meetings, so.
Will that allow us to pass the changes prior to the deadline?
Yes. The deadline we had was extended until August.
Okay.
And so we should have it all finished by July. There's no hiccups in it.
And we discussed this at quite great length at the recent Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee with Chris Millier.
Yes, and he'll be attending the July meeting for everybody else to hear.
Okay. Request for decision, fees and fines, policy capture. We got a motion on the table for discussion.
Yep. I can make that motion. I recommend to council to approve the change in the fees and fines policy to increase the cost of a sewage connection to $50 administration fee plus $2,300 per lateral.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
So, go ahead.
Oh, no, so the admin fee does not increase, but it's the connection fee. that's-
Yeah, so in,
Part fees.
correct, yeah, so in your package, you received the regional director of public works brought it to our attention that the actual cost to install a sewer lateral is $2,200. And we've only been charging $1,500. So we're just looking to get our costs back. And that's just for the parts. That's, not the time and the labor that's also included in that.
And I recommend that we may consider changing the 23 to just administration fee plus material costs.
Would we have to have an official number though, or?
Well, we're doing it because it fluctuates. So if material costs a month from now goes up, then we're just covering material costs underneath that. Not labor. That's extra. That's not included in this charge, right?
Correct.
So it's really admin and then we're just trying to do material costs. I think we just change the material costs and it'll change as it goes. Then we're not coming back again and again to adjust this.
And each person that gets a hookup, it may be different,
Right.
depending on the cost of supplies at the time. Would that work?
Yep, that's Kelsey's decision. Yeah.
Might go down, you never know.
Who proposed this in the first place? Was this the,
Regional Director of Public Works brought it to our attention.
okay,
yes.
and he gave us that number?
The actual cost
2,200?
of parts, yep, $2,291.
Okay, shouldn't we go back and ask him if he thinks that's a
Well, he
good?
brought it, according to the notes, he brought it because the previous cost on this policy was $1,500.
Yeah,
So
And
we're
the cost has
losing
gone
money.
up to 2,300. I'm just saying we should have it flexible enough that it adjusts according to whatever inflation or material cost increases come in the future.
Now, it only covers our material costs, doesn't cover the cost of labor or
No,
other, so may it make more sense to not just cover the cost, the $2,300, make it slightly higher, which would also cover any possible fluctuations in costs over the next.
so you guys don't
Years.
charge in the past
Yeah.
for labor or,
It's just a standard fee, $1,500. So for every lateral. And it's not like we have these laterals being installed all the time because we don't have
Mm.
much land to develop.
Right,
So it's, you know, one a year maybe.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but I think we should just go with the fixed cost right now, because that's what's been recommended to us, and we can always adjust it later if it changes.
Fine either way, I just thought it would be easier to have it in a way that just moves with costs.
Mm.
That's all.
So it would be $50 administration fee plus cost, the parts cost for the lateral.
Material cost of the lateral.
And the other option is adding in our labor costs.
which you mentioned.
We haven't really looked at all of our other connections and how we do it. It might be good to look at the whole thing or just put on our work plan to look at it.
It sounds like it's a lot more than $2,300 if we're not charging anything for the excavator to come in or a backhoe, unless our guys are doing it themselves, which they're not probably.
No, we just give them. Like, because we're only responsible to the roadside, right?
Mhm.
We have to dig it up though to hook it in, right?
No, I think that's on the homeowner.
So they pay for all of that anyway.
So for example, the house on Upper St. George Street that just had to dig under the road to connect to the lateral,
Right,
that's on them to pay for all that.
but we don't have to dig up the line to put the lateral
Yeah, on our side.
on the, yes,
Yeah, but when they're digging across to hook up, it's like,
it's on them to get to the lateral.
Yeah.
I understand that, but the cost of digging up the lateral, where we're gonna put it, is on us, right?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
don't think so, because they're digging to join in, so I think it's their contractor that,
Does it at
Does
the
it?
time, and then we just put install it at the time when it's on them to dig it.
Now, we do
But
have a
don't quote me on that.
precedent that sometimes we do charge labor for some of the things Public Works do that.
the policy only has if it's the on-call on the weekends hour.
Right,
It's
so
the
we have
policy.
that kind of precedent. So I'm all in favor of looking at looking at the bigger picture later, but to me, $50 plus actual cost. Or it could say 2,300 or actual cost, whichever is greater.
All right, and one thing that just kind of popped in my head was, as a homeowner, looking ahead, they might want the actual cost. I suppose they could figure it out and let them know. Or they could look at this and say, oh, well, right now we're charging 2,300.
Well, I
Could be.
obviously came to attention, because probably the last lateral that was put in,
Was
we only
way
charged
under,
1,500 and cost us 23.
yeah,
And the most we could charge was a fixed amount.
well, then it's something that the director needs to just keep an eye on.
Or we have a variable and it's just the material cost. If materials are $3,000, it's $3,000. We don't limit it
And
to.
then they would just have to let the homeowner know, well, it's gonna be X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So
Um,
what we
either
doing?
way.
should I change the motion then to say plus $2,300 or actual cost, whichever is greater?
Do it that way if you want. But-
Do you want to add that in?
Either way, I'm fine with.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because then it kind of covers both bases, you know?
Okay. Can we make an amendment to that motion? Krista? Thanks.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll read this again. So the motion goes, recommend the council approves a change in fees and fines policy to increase the cost of sewage connection to $50 administration fee plus $2,300 or material or the total material cost, whichever is greater per lateral.
yes,
Yeah,
okay.
that can happen.
And then,
So further discussion?
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And request for decision, short-term rental compliance, tab 4. I'll have a motion to start discussion, please.
okay, I'll go, I recommend that council signs of the information sharing agreement with the province of Nova Scotia for the short-term accommodations.
A second?
Discussion.
I had a question about section 4.2. And basically, what information would the town be requiring over and above what's already there, is my question. On information sharing.
just to make sure that it's in compliance with our LUB.
Okay, so we'd have that kind of information. So
Yes.
some of that could be protected information under this policy. And my other question is 6.3, prior to any disclosure, municipality, we have to certify. Is that going to be any issue for us?
No.
6.3, okay. Those are, oh, and who is signing the agreement?
The. Yeah,
And then in 10.2, we have another one of these 10-year terms for an agreement. So can we request that this be placed in the strategic plan?
we can.
With all my questions.
So by signing in this agreement. Will not take place right away. They're still working on getting it together, so it's probably gonna take like 6 or 8 months. But if we have somebody that's not in compliance, it'll make it easier for us to check. If they are registered, and if they're not, then they get pulled off of the website.
Yeah.
And then they cannot get back on until they get permission from the government again.
I think.
Which website are they on?
For example, Airbnb. So currently, we are working with a homeowner that has an illegal Airbnb. Because this website information sharing is not signed, they can't give us the information to say that they are registers, and then we can't say, well, they're in non-compliance.
Right.
So once we tell them in non-compliance, they're not allowed to be on the sites anymore. Their license gets pulled until they become compliant.
And compliance means that the homeowner has to be a resident of that property
Or
Living.
commercial,
or commercial,
or
Yeah.
commercial.
right, in order to,
In a residential zone, you have to live in the property.
and that's part of our LUB.
Yeah.
So not, I just have one question. So in other words, they will no longer be allowed to go on sites like Airbnb or,
Right, because you have to register and you get a license number,
yeah,
and the license number is shown on the sites.
Should the same with all the sites?
that's just an example,
That's-
sorry,
yeah.
Airbnb.
Well, I mean, Airbnb is the big one, but I mean, there's a lot of, vacation home by homeowners, there's
Yeah.
all sorts of. them.
Rooming, rooms in a rooming house are covered.
Covered, yeah, so in
Pretty
that,
expensive, yeah.
and I think the act was also included in the package,
It
and
was.
that,
Yeah, it's
And
The
that's-
there.
PowerPoint was there.
yeah, so that's where the act was, and the act is in place now. And the information sharing contract they're working on that, so the province, when Ken was talking to them, thought like 6 months before.
I think it's a great idea, you know.
It's good legislation.
Well, yeah, it kind of makes your job easier too, if there is someone that's not.
There was one thing though, these daily email notifications. So on the data sharing, they're going to notify municipalities daily. Does that mean you're gonna get a bunch of nil reports?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I hope
okay.
not.
No, but it just,
It was daily, not weekly or.
no, it was daily.
Yeah. That was
7
the
days a
worry.
week.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there was a document attached. This was the one,
Yeah.
remember when you thought I might be getting a different package than anybody else? So I checked, the registration package was there, but there's a whole presentation from Tourism Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
Was that just an accident? Because I thought this was interesting, something the town might want to respond to. It was in there.
It was in there.
Yeah, remember when we
the-
were comparing notes, you were wondering why I was getting this?
proposed.
I don't know.
Purpose
Krista, do you know the answer?
It
That's the
doesn't
act,
matter,
yeah.
but I would
That's-
suggest this go to the
This
Dometic, this
Oh, that
Tourism
one.
Nova Scotia. I'd
For
suggest
sure.
sending it to
Oh,
Dometic
I see,
because
yeah.
I think the town might like to respond to some of the things they talk about tourism, and I've never seen it before, so it was just a lucky thing that we saw.
Mhm. It wouldn't hurt for it to go there for sure. Cause we wanna stay connected,
Mhm.
Okay,
okay?
yeah, but the reasonings of the act is what they say, should be good,
Mhm.
Yeah.
should be attacked up with that.
Mhm.
There's similar legislation in Quebec that's very effective.
Is it similar to this? Same thing?
Yeah.
Nova Scotia's just.
Somebody's
copying
done it right, then it's good.
It's good, yeah, really.
We
like
can
it.
learn from other provinces always.
Okay. Further discussion on the motion? No, all those in favor? Yes, motion is carried. Okay. Now, request for decision, Apples Royal Refresh, tab 5.
Okay, I would recommend to council to approve the construction of a shed in the Market Square area using monies from Annapolis Rural Refresh, providing the conditions of the land use bylaw are met.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out, okay,
So the
I see
picture is
where it
kind
is.
of there, yeah.
yeah,
We camouflage very well.
That was Penn's, yeah,
and did a good job.
fancy job there, so it's just gonna tuck in behind the shed there in the corner. They're gonna access it from Drury Street, Drury Lane.
Mhm.
So the door will be on that side, and that's where we're gonna store all of the pretty blue bistro sets that are down there now. We're getting some canopies for the stage. We'll have one of our own in there. And then we're getting more chairs, different kind of chairs that will be seating, that will be in Market Square when it gets activated. So that's where we're planning on to store all this extra.
It's going very good.
Yep, and they're all stackable, and the bistro
Chairs
sets are
fold.
fold up.
Yeah.
There'll be no impact on the trees.
Yep,
But I think there's some tree trimming.
just trimming,
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
So like they, yeah, have some trimming there.
Nice,
That's great.
yeah,
And the grant covers the cost
Correct.
of
Yeah.
materials and labour.
Even better, right?
Yes. Gotta like free things.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Passed. Request for decision, Annapolis Pride, tab 6.
So there's a motion to recommend that council approve and read a statement of support for 2S LGBTQIA+ persons and for National Pride Month at the council meeting of June 21st and at the town's annual Pride event.
I second that.
Discussion?
So we're looking at the statements. I think there's 4 things in this. There's the logo, which has the symbolic impact. There's the public statement. We're looking at the flying flag.
So the statement is what's in your agenda package that you're looking at.
Right, we're just gonna,
The logo is just to show you what it's going to look at. That's what
Looks good.
is
Yeah.
going to go on the social media.
okay.
The flags, we're following our current flag policy.
Mhm.
So the flag will be flown on June 25th. And then it will also go up the week of their events
nice.
at Town Hall. I'm hoping that we'll have the second flagpole up,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure if that will happen by then. And then they also had grant funding request, and
Yes,
that's going through the Genie and Pickle programs. And Ken and I have slotted time tomorrow at 10 to review those requests.
Nice. How long will the logo stay up on the website? The cover?
I was just thinking it would just go up permanently and stay there,
Oh,
because it just will be like the little
yes,
something
Yeah, no.
on this, on the,
this here. Yeah.
yes.
yeah, but I mean, like on the Facebook page, it would just be automatically
Stay
there
there.
under the page.
I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
I think that's super. Okay, that's all I have.
Yes, I think it's great.
Did you want to? The wording of the statement is that
And that's gonna be read on our next
council meeting and then,
21st.
yeah.
So the statement, is this the message in support? That statement, is that what
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah.
about? Did that come from the Pride Board?
No, they wouldn't give us, like, they didn't want to give us one, they wanted us to make a statement.
Oh,
Nice.
right.
So
I like that.
we drafted it up and the town crier also had one, so we
Mhm.
kind of worked similar to hers to make this one.
Okay,
So I just wanted to make sure.
I see we refer to the T2SLGBTQ1IA+, whereas the letter from Annapolis Pride just uses the LGBTQ+. What is appropriate?
It keeps evolving.
Okay.
And this seems to be the latest. Because for a while it was, persons of color would come after it too, so it does evolve. Okay, depending on just, right, don't you think?
Mhm.
It's not a static thing at all.
Mm.
And Krista, can you confirm this is the most recent one, right?
E2S,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm sure you can reach out to the committee and make sure that we have an appropriate terms.
Mhm.
That might be.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
And that
just to
quite
confirm
shows
with
the
them.
plus at the end,
Yes.
so that at least. there's-
Plus means yes.
Right, in case we didn't get it right, yeah.
I love that there's a quote in there from the Halifax-born actor Elliot Page. I think
Yeah.
that's excellent. It's great. I love the statement.
Yeah.
Could apply to the current war very easily.
Yeah, it's gonna apply to a lot of stuff. No, it's good.
Yeah, nice work that went into that. It's nice and simple. I love the logo too. Yeah.
Good job.
Now, the Pride Committee did ask for the flag at the town hall to be flown all month. But
Mhm.
as our policy, it's just the day of and the week of the event.
Right, yeah.
So you're okay with that? We're
I'm
just
fine with
following
that.
our policy, so.
It's gonna be difficult to try and change the flag policy for every special event that we have throughout the year. But I think it's good that we fly it on the special day, June the 25th, and then for Pride, the 3-day festival. In July, so it's July 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah,
Oh, but it's actually for the full week of Pride.
well,
Or is
we'll
it just for
probably
the fest-
we'll probably put it up,
the Monday to Monday?
yeah.
Okay.
And is there any particular reason why they don't have the event in the month of Pride? Do you know? You might not know. Sorry,
No.
never mind, I take it
Sorry,
back.
There was a
There've been
reason,
There've been some events already, Pride events, right?
yeah, it's working with the other events in the province, I think.
Hmm,
So they didn't want to all have it on the same weekend, like they didn't want to compete with, say, Halifax, for example.
right.
Or book the same shows.
Right, yeah, so the same
Yeah.
performers.
Mhm.
Rotate.
Okay.
There's a reason for that date. There's been a lot of thought gone into
But
it.
it's great, it's happening. It was so beautiful last year. It's really something last year.
Well, last year was just one day, this year it's gonna be 3 days,
Yes,
it's
Mhm.
gonna be huge.
so the new policy incents that
Mhm.
type of behavior, right? Extending their days. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Further discussion?
No, I just want to say thanks to all the volunteers who work on the board and make this event happen. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes and on the day.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Yes, just passed. We are now on to the Environmental Visionary Award proposal.
I move to recommend to council the Environment Advisory Committee proceed with the development of the Environmental Visionary Award.
Second?
And discussion.
Is this going to result in any additional work for our staff?
What's that?
Yes, it always does.
I didn't dare go there.
The Environment Advisory Committee has done most of the work putting this award together so far. But eventually, there's still staff time involved in doing it. So at EAC, they've put together a task team, and this is what they're presenting. They didn't want to go through the process and get into details if this wasn't a direction that council was looking to go in.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that if council decides to move forward with it, then they'll continue to work on it. And then hopefully maybe next year, I'm not sure if we can get something up and running this year to do it or not, but next year, for sure, we'll make sure we have money in the budget, because they're talking about giving out certificates and different things like that,
I
so.
think it's really good. And one of our members on that team produced a $40,000, a report worth $40,000. Summarizing all the town's flood risk reports from 1998 right up to the present. And he received or will receive an international award, which shall remain nameless until it's officially received. So the town's already had the benefit of the work that some of those committee members are putting in.
Okay. I'm curious, would it be, I like the idea, would it be a good idea to maybe partner with other municipalities to make this sort of a bigger, taking a larger geographical area?
And that's what I mean, like the first nomination for that committee went to it was for an international environmental award.
Okay.
And I think there are 2 awards that will be awarded within the town. But you're right, cooperate with other municipal units. I don't think that's being discussed, but it's not a bad idea.
Mm,
It would be nice to have the county
Yeah,
with,
mhm.
working with us on it.
that'd be a very good idea.
Then it'd be a regional award instead of a town environmental award. So then it would be maybe be a separate decision process. So this is basically set up for residents, business, institution, nonprofits within the community.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to work with, the county doesn't have an organization doing environmental.
They did have county councillor sit on
Yeah,
the environment.
That
committee.
particular person isn't able to sit on the committee anymore, but I think we're reaching out to have another county member.
Yeah,
come on the
And we've
committee.
made it a voting position.
Right.
Yes,
So maybe this feedback could go back to the.
so that's
environment
kind of
committee.
partnering and
Mm.
working with.
Yeah,
it's in the early stages of, I think,
Yeah.
expanding into other units.
yeah, but also this is a conceptual idea, but it ranges from anything to reduce your carbon footprint. And it's a way of encouraging residents and businesses to do this. So it could be anything from solar panels on your roof to collecting rainwater off your roof to water your vegetables. Do you know what I mean? It can be big and small. But it's just getting an action plan.
I'd love to see the cigarette butts picked up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another,
Something small, but
Hey.
worthwhile, has an impact
So
on the
back-
rivers.
Do the motion.
Mhm. Yes.
Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I talk less when I'm
You're
chair.
doing well,
That's
man.
what-
Very good.
I knew there was a reason.
There was a reason then, was there? Okay. Memorial tree request.
oh, this was, yeah, Christine brought this forward.
Yes, so, looking just to see maybe if you want to pass this back to staff and staff could reach out and see what kind of tree, where the tree could be located, the cost of a plaque, if you want to put a plaque on it.
Mhm.
The guild will pay for the tree, but then they're looking to cost share on the plaque. I can contact Angelica and get her input and then bring it back if,
Oh, it'd be nice to have something
Council.
here at town hall, but maybe the park. Or they're doing the renovation of the, down the park.
The children's park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have the front end that's kind of more of a garden area, but doesn't really have any
like the daylilies, like on the side of the, outside of the
Like,
fence or the inside? the
inside
fence?
of it,
Yeah.
right in the. You know, so it's semi-protected, and you put a nicer tree in there, that would be better than kind of what's down there
Mhm.
now.
Mm.
But I know they did
Kinda
the
nice.
plantings for the garden, but they didn't really do any tree planting in there.
Yep.
Just an option,
Mhm.
so.
But if you want to send it back to staff, staff can do up a report. and-
Yeah.
I think it's well worth pursuing.
Yes.
Okay. Good on that, Sandy? Police capital reserve motion table from council meeting of 2023, May 17th, 2023. So,
I don't think we've really had any more information since then, have we?
well, I
We
think.
haven't met.
I think the reason it was tabled was kind of maybe consider looking at other departments, is that what?
Well, I just didn't want it to get lost in the
Yes.
process too, so we can, send it back to,
I think it has to go back. I think we were gonna have it on the agenda for discussion.
at the board
At the
police
next,
commission.
yeah,
or-
because that's, yeah.
Yeah, there were 2 things that needed to be discussed with Director of Finance. But the
Mhm.
other thing is permission from the Board of Police Commissioners under the MGA Council has budget control.
Exactly,
So was the motion in order? I'm not sure. I'm not a
Right.
lawyer, I don't know.
yeah.
But I suspect it might not be.
Yeah, so we, yeah, I don't really
So we can
think
just
we're
keep
ready
it
to,
tabled, but
yeah.
Mm.
just don't.
Well, that would be my recommendation, just because we really haven't.
Get it back to the Board of
It
Police.
definitely
and
has to
have
go back
discussion.
with those
Oh,
concerns.
And we need to move forward. Because they are
Yeah.
generating funds and
Yeah.
we need to have some idea if we're gonna reserve a portion of it or not.
And we could, but we might wanna invite Melanie to
Well, I can get Melanie to do a staff report. She is also
Yeah.
attending the council meeting this month,
Mhm.
because we're hoping to have the water budget ready for you to look at.
So.
When does
so-
Board of Police meet? When do we meet?
I think it's next Wednesday.
Because it's in the morning when she's here.
What we
14th of
asking
June.
everybody to figure out here? One, if it's possible for us to do this.
Well,
Yeah.
I think okay, it's what is permissible under the MGA, and what are the options? Like, since she does coordinate the budget.
Yeah.
She is the director of finance, she knows about reserves,
Yeah, exactly.
why not hear from her?
And she may have a really good suggestion.
It hasn't mentioned to me that there's other police forces that use this and have used it as a reserve.
Okay,
This is not unique to us.
No, we have many reserves now.
Yes,
But I think it's more the point that it should not be the Board of Police that approves the expenses. It has to be council.
has to go through.
oh, I get
Because
that's, I think that's just.
the
Board of
funds-
Police.
Right, because council
Yeah.
has.
But they would just be
Arrangement.
giving permission to have the reserve fund.
No, no, like say they had X amount of dollars in the reserve fund and wanted to
Oh,
use
okay.
some of it. That
I
should
do.
probably come to council.
And what
saying
happens if
we're gonna-
council decides we wanna spend it, and they have to give permission?
Right, you're right.
Yes,
No.
yeah, so that doesn't
Well,
work.
the object here is that we are not spending their reserve funds on other items other than capital projects for the police department.
But you see, they're already under the town's capital reserve policy. So we already have a reserve for everything in
Yeah.
there. So, again, it's another reserve, like what are we doing really?
Yeah.
You might wanna divert money to that to that reserve that you might want to, and that's maybe possible. But I think that's why the conversation with the
Yeah.
finance director.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it wasn't just for capital though. It was like if the chief wanted to buy extra uniforms or special stuff
Yeah.
with the
Or
extra
run a
money
youth
or
program,
run a youth
which he
program
doesn't
or
have anything in his budget for something like that at this moment.
yeah. So that
extra
kind of-
things that would save.
But that probably, so what we're thinking is we could probably have the reserve, but it would still have to just, be run by, it would have to be voted on at the council levels where you're.
Well, yes, because the bigger issue is, it's like healthcare. It's a budget that keeps growing, like most budgets, right? They keep growing. And so you try to come up with a system for it to try to pay for itself, but then you're gonna set the money aside for reserve. Does that really help the bigger picture?
Mhm.
So that's why we're saying
But the-
you have to kind of consider all departments.
This one here, though, the idea was to allocate 25% of what was generated in reserve. They are also sending 75% into our regular revenue stream that we can use on the police department if we require, or we can use elsewhere.
Yeah,
The problem we get into is we put the 100% into that overall group fund. Then nothing's being allocated other than what they're generating back into their own department. And I think if they're gonna do the work and they're gonna create this extra stream, they should have a portion of it allocated for their department.
But the
Yeah.
same thing happens in Advent. So they generate all kinds of money but that's why I think you need to look at the whole picture, not just the one department in
Well, that's
isolation.
a different one though. Like, if we're gonna say the rec department generates funds through programming beyond. So if a certain portion wants to be set up a reserve for recreation, great. If then he wants to, I don't know, buy nets or something for it, it's not in the operating funding, and you can say, yes, I'm gonna generate $10,000. I'm gonna use 3 of it to buy nets. Doesn't have to come to council for that. He said, yes, this is where we're gonna take it, I need approval to go do it. Which is reasonable. If he's working to generate funds, to offset the cost of what he's doing, yes. But instead of us throwing it all in a fund, then we have an emergency in one area and we're taking all funds to move to that location, that's where. These departments lose out, and I think
I
they should
just think
have
it
some.
could be, it needs more thought. I guess that was my only point, just more structure. And I would feel more comfortable if I saw how it's gonna sit within the larger system of reserves we have, make sure there's no duplication. I would just like the DOF consultant on this one, because she manages all of our reserves.
Yes.
yeah, if she would come to the meeting, would be great. If she
Just-
comes in, so that we can all work out
Unfortunately, I think BOPC is next week
Yes,
and she's away next week. She's on vacation Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then she's at the AMA conference Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And there's no urgency because
Yeah.
you can
No.
make whatever you want retroactive.
Yeah.
So,
So we can,
yeah, I don't think there's any rush, like
That's true.
you can make it for whatever date you want it to run from.
Yeah.
so do we need to make the motion and then
We're just.
table it,
we're
or just table it right away?
now.
it's
Okay.
still tabled.
We'll
Like, it was
table it
tabled
until
before.
next month, and, you know, then we'll, that gives everybody a chance to
Okay,
do the reports, put them in the package for next month.
Thank you.
Okay. Provincial volunteer awards, motion table for the council meeting.
excuse me, I'm gonna declare a conflict of interest on this particular item. Thank you.
We'll let you know when we're done.
I need a motion.
Would you like to go ahead?
Sure, I'll move it. Move the motion that we council recommends the selection of Jeff Hafting to represent the town of Annapolis Royal at the 2023 Provincial Volunteer Awards.
Second.
Discussion.
Congratulations.
He's
Yeah.
well deserving of this award, so,
Absolutely.
Yeah, he works hard.
He has agreed, of
Yes.
course, to accept it.
that would be
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
thing to throw in there too, I guess.
Yeah, because that's why we didn't announce it last month. We were waiting to make sure he accepted it, so. Noah has been in contact with them and everything is good to go.
Nice. Well, that's good news.
It's lovely news, yeah. So,
We'll move it along, all those in favor?
I,
Yes, motion's passed.
Then we'll call it back in.
There it comes, we're all good.
you heard us silence.
No, I had the silence, yes. Thank you.
should I come to silence?
Council Weir appointment to committees, traffic flow advisory committee, audit committee, Friends of the Annapolis Royal Library.
So
Did we
those
make-
are just the committees that
Give you everything.
were free, like that came up after the passing of deputy mayor. So we weren't sure like if how you guys wanted to do this, if there was other committees that you're looking to switch to get off, if Paul just wants to take these ones on, because these are the ones that were empty. I know we filled some of them.
Temporarily.
Because we weren't sure of how long the election was gonna be. So just kind of looking to see
Oh,
what you
Oh,
want
I guess, yeah.
How long are the positions on these committees? Oh, I guess.
until the end of the
Yes,
term.
yes,
Yeah,
of
so,
course, yeah.
So in this case, end of December?
no,
No.
So
until
you're going to
the
do 12 months.
The next
the
election.
next election,
Okay.
so.
Yeah,
the
Because they're
whole-
2-year terms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Originally.
yeah. So I know, so traffic flow advisory
Mhm.
is during the day. That is the
13th.
second Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. The audit committee only meets like twice a year when we're having our audit, so that's a nice easy one. Those are usually during the day. And then the Friends of the Library, I don't know if that is a position that counselors have been on, I think. Maybe Deputy Mayor Power just attended that one because of her
Because of
interest.
the library board, I'm not sure.
And then
Question.
because there is the regional library board that's also looking for a membership that is up for anyone to be on. And then I didn't know if there was other ones
I
that,
think the Friends of the Library was just a volunteer, like she just
Right.
went to the meetings because she was interested.
right,
I don't
Yeah.
think that's a.
She always reported though.
Oh, no, she always did, but that was Pat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
and then Michael has to stay on the IMSA because that is mandated to be the mayor and the deputy mayor, so you can't give that one.
that's fine.
Okay.
Wow, lots of decisions, Paul.
Well, actually, I think it's also a decision from those around the table, if you want to give up anything in exchange for.
I'm on traffic and audit, so.
Oh.
Well, I'm just trying to see what am I, I'm on the Board of Police,
We're
I'm on Medic, I'm on PHAC, and currently was on
Traffic.
traffic flow. Well, after Pat's passing,
Yeah.
so if you wanna grab any of them, I'm happy to hand it over, but it depends on your schedule too, right?
I'm new, I don't know what to expect. So, traffic flow advisory sounds fine. It's 1 PM in the afternoon. My schedule allows for that, so I'm good for that. Audit committee is twice a year.
Should we do that? That's-
Sounds kind of
That's
boring,
easy.
but I'm okay with numbers. And I guess the Friends of the Library is, we don't even know.
You don't need to, yeah,
Have to do it.
that one, yeah.
But I would be interested if I do need to do it.
Well, I will move the council appoint, counselor, not counselor SELLOR, but counselor Paul Weir to the Traffic Flow Advisory Committee and the Audit Committee for the term ending the end of the council term.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Council appointment to the Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board.
And I thought there was a tab for that, but then maybe it was missing.
I didn't see one.
No. They sent a letter requesting that, we need to have someone sit on the regional library board. So,
Where are the meetings? I'll be up the valley.
Richard?
Probably.
I
Middleton?
don't know, like I said, Pat usually always went,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
right.
much.
That's right.
I think they're in Berwick.
You think they are? I'm not sure.
Interested in that one, Paul?
Yeah.
So there
Ties
is work
in
to
with
do
the
on this because we have to look at the whole basis for how we are billed for library. So there's work to be done on what we're paying for libraries compared to other municipal units and because of our unique situation with having a super library.
Yeah.
So whoever takes this on, there's some really, this
And the bequeathment that we
the
received trying to.
bequest, the $1 million bequest and why
we're
the
not getting
agreement is
anything.
not being implemented. There
Mhm.
was a signed agreement.
Mhm.
So there's real meat in this if somebody wants to get into that.
And you know when the board meets.
I do not.
So perhaps
we
we
can-
can get that
We
information.
can
out.
table this one and
To,
council.
yeah, okay, we'll table that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a letter. that
Where
came.
and when?
We're just tabling it to council at the end of the month.
Hey, we're not complaining. The work that goes in preparing one meeting package.
I know.
Yeah, so much to do.
I'm on 4 subcommittees already. I don't know if I could take this on.
I really just have time for that one, but we'll see.
Well, I
see
might be
what-
interested in doing it, but it would depend on when.
When and
Yeah.
where,
Or, you know, the history of what's going on too.
yeah.
And it's got the financial background that we need on that too. Yeah.
Some of these committees that have the meat to them.
Yeah.
Would it be a good idea to maybe do just every 6 months, do a rotation? And then a council wouldn't feel bogged down. It's the same as like Valley Waste. That's another big.
But that's the reason why they've restricted the membership, because what would happen is they had too many counselors going to meetings,
Right.
not prepared to make decisions at the meeting.
Okay.
So that, and
Gets
because
lost.
their budget,
Gets
Valley
lost.
Waste is 3 times our town budget,
Mhm.
like, it wasn't working. And that was one of the issues that had to be resolved. And now we have consultants running Valley Waste and King's Transit.
Yeah, right.
So, now they're going on a more business-like footing.
Mhm.
But you're right, the library board is a really important one for the town because of all the money we're paying.
Right,
Mm.
So it really needs lots of attention.
okay.
And Pat was giving it lots of
I
attention.
know.
Yes,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. Welcome wagon appointment.
I can, do I move or
Yeah,
do
it's
I?
not a-
Oh, yeah, this is a happy one.
Welcome wagon appointment to appoint Sally O'Grady as the person of good cheer for the Welcome Wagon with a term ending December 31st, 2023.
I'll second that.
Oh, I'm so excited that we have Sally doing that. She'll do a great job.
With Julia.
Julia.
Yeah,
Well, they're-
Julia
they're-
O'Grady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
They're great. Both of them would be fantastic. at that.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
Are they gonna, so from moving forward new residents to the town, or are they gonna kind of backtrack and capture? We had quite a few new people to the town last
Elsa
year.
Riley always backtracks.
Yes, but we're not backtracking. We're starting as of April first.
Okay.
Because that's all we have in the budget
Okay.
allocated, so
Okay,
we'll start again as April first.
And if you wouldn't mind, when you're talking to her, she always came to my shop and I always gifted gift certificates to go in the basket.
Okay.
So I don't know if
She
she
won't
knows.
mind going there.
Well, yeah,
that's generous.
I
yeah,
think most businesses might want the opportunity to do that.
yeah, absolutely, but yeah, I always did
Could be an
that.
opportunity for a group thing.
Would it be a good idea to put something on our town website or for local businesses who would like to contribute to a gift for new residents to town? Just kind of put it out there, because there might be other people, other businesses with gift certificates. Who
I
would
think
like to
they went
contribute.
door to door and asked for
Yeah.
gift
Oh, they
certificates.
did?
They did.
Okay,
Businesses don't really have the time to look at the website and see where they can give. I
okay,
think
No, you have to come to them.
you have to go to them if
Opportunity.
you want something,
Yes.
yeah.
okay, sounds good.
Okay, motion's on the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yes, nobody against, motion is passed. Coastal protection. Need a motion,
I'll move to recommend that council sign the joint letter calling for the immediate release and implementation of the regulations of the Coastal Protection Act by the province.
second,
I'll second that.
discussion.
The letter from Minister Lord sort of gives an explanation for why it's not being implemented. The regulations haven't been completely drafted, they have to go to municipalities to be approved because there's costs involved and well, it's quite a bit of work. So I'm not sure if an immediate release and implementation is possible.
We received those. We received the drafts, we commented back. So we don't understand what
What the delay is.
right?
Mm.
And it's the Ecology Action Center who contacted us.
Yeah.
And asked for support for this. Because they say in the meantime, people are getting away with not good things on our coastline. Anyway, that was a bit of the background. It's not that we didn't get the material, it's not that we haven't responded, but for whatever reason, it's not moving.
When did we get the materials?
Oh, my goodness, when did it go to Environment Committee?
Oh, do you remember? Well, it was a long time
It
ago.
was over a year ago.
Yeah.
So this is the one where people can't build within 200 meters.
There's no developments on
Yeah.
the coastline.
This isn't the act, this was the regulations,
Yeah.
remember? Where
Right.
they're going to, it affects our planning departments. And yes, setbacks, just like
Mhm.
Michael said, yeah.
Mhm.
So that did go to Environment Committee, we did comment,
Right,
because I remember sending the comments into John, he put them all together.
They might be running into some difficulty, the whole thing.
Do we have any explanation for why there's been a delay?
no. Do you know anything? No,
No,
no explanation.
no explanation to the units. And of course, most units won't ask because it's extra regulation, we don't normally ask for extra regulation. But our Environment Committee was concerned about the, yeah. And what we could do is just send this to the Environment Committee if you wish, that's another thing we could do, because they haven't seen this.
Mm.
Right.
I think we probably should
Yeah.
get an
Okay,
opinion from the committee.
let's do that.
Okay,
Maybe they do the inquiry of why the delays are in place.
So we'll just table the motion, you know?
Yeah,
yes.
okay, so the additional item, the animal control officer appointment.
I would recommend that council appoint Meg Carroll as the animal control officer for the town with a term ending December 31st, 2020.
Second,
Oh, I'll second that.
thank you.
Why, question, why is the term so short? Why is it ending December the 3rd?
Because we usually do all our appointments in December of the
Okay.
following year.
So
So
she's
just to get it on track with
Oh,
the rest
right,
of them, so
okay.
if we did it now and then.
Yeah.
We would get lost, so we'll just keep
Yes.
it on track. with
Okay.
all the other- Yeah, sounds good.
Any further discussion?
I just think it's great that we can continue to cooperate with Annapolis County on this.
Yeah.
That's good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion is passed. Okay, so now we're into correspondence. Nice letter for the Grandin Potter Memorial funding approval. Well done
Yes,
against that.
Thank you, Noah.
yes, but there is a but.
There's
So the
funding requirements.
funding requirements is that we match it with the federal grant that we applied for, which we have been denied.
That's a bit of a
dear.
problem.
So we're on a waiting list with the federal government. They said they'll review them this summer, and if there's money that hasn't been allocated, then we might have the option to get it in the summertime. So we are going to keep this in our back pocket, and then if we get the federal, then we can use it. If not, we will have to send this back. Because we can't, like the. I
This is
think,
not capital improvements.
no. It has to, like, we don't have the matching and the other funds to go with this 30,
Right.
right?
Because
So
it has
the,
to match.
yeah,
This is a case of grant application on top of
grant application on top of town funds.
Yeah,
To make the project happen, phase one. So we can get this one again next year. And then
Okay,
so we're just kind of waiting to see if we get the federal one this summer. And if we do, then we'll move forward. And if we don't, then we'll try again next year.
municipal affairs housing letter. Comments?
I can't remember what we paid for DNA costs, but for, basically, we're telling it the DNA costs are gonna go up.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's happening with the treated wood thing, if they're saying we can landfill it now, why didn't, well, we couldn't landfill it before, so I'll certainly ask Valley Waste about that one. And then, they talk about the regulations. The coastal zone protection,
Yeah.
so they need them, everybody's needing them now, right, and we don't have them, so that's another issue. And they don't say they had an opportunity to tell us what's going on, but this is the, this is what happens, it's not clear to us. And then I'm not sure what the impacts are gonna be for the town until these regulations go, and we've got a large project, our seawall, and no certainty of what these regulations are going to be. Anyway, so I only had questions about this, that I'll try to send to the people.
Yeah, and I just had a question about the accessibility part of it. There's going to be an impact on our town. We've only got 1 year
Yeah, that's.
to
coming
be
right up.
compliant. So is there something that we can be doing to help that along?
I think we're almost there anyways, because
Okay.
we've changed, town hall is all in compliant. The public works is in compliant, the Drury Lane, I think the hub is now in compliant. So I think we have most, like, we've been doing it over stages, so we're still, I think we're still good, and we have our policy. We have our committee that meets regularly, all of that was part of the act, and so I think we're okay on that one.
Okay,
Excellent.
Other businesses in town and stuff probably are struggling to.
Yeah, that's
That,
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate because I mean, just,
I think they have a longer time though.
I think, I don't know how long,
Yeah.
but I know it's soon coming time.
You're compliant, so that's.
Yeah, I'm compliant,
Yeah.
but I was very fortunate in the way that we had the side to.
Yeah, a lot of our
But
storefronts
a
don't
lot of
have.
them, they're just like right there and it's, just 2 or 3 steps, but it's just enough that someone in a wheelchair.
They do it, Sally's,
Yes, oh yes, we had to,
Yeah.
that went through planning and
Yeah.
heritage and everything, yeah.
so perhaps some of the businesses might need to work together to have a double ramp. Something that they
Yeah.
can show ramp on the sidewalk.
And sometimes you can have the portable ones. I think that's still
Okay.
a valid option that you can
Okay,
bring one out
They always did
and
that.
schedule one. That if you had, if you knew someone was coming, you could pull it out,
okay.
put it back in, but they're heavy and awkward.
And then you have to have a place to store it.
And then we also did our policy when this first started. About doing the ramps and working together and so we have our policy that says we can use the town sidewalk. As long as there's still the 5 feet left for our accessible,
Okay,
so.
And they're bringing up the rent again, so we had WBDA, we had Adida, we've got the REN now that the town doesn't subscribe to, and now they're looking at another reviewer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I think the REN that is the Valley REN, they're trying to get the government to confirm their financial commitments too for the number of years, because
Yeah.
they signed the new IMSA and want to make sure that the government is gonna stand behind it, or else.
but this would be the third in 20 years.
Yeah.
The third model they've gone through. It doesn't say anything about, now, the good part is it came in a consultation letter. So perhaps we should write back, because I think we're invited to write back and say, we would like to be part of this, because we're outside of the system now because of the models that are being used.
Yes,
And you're proposing model number 4, you're talking about a review which could result in model number 4, and the municipal units should be consulted at the very least. I mean, it impacts on us. Anyway,
the MPOW report.
So that is Noah's annual report that he sends in for his funding. And so I just thought, since he was coming tonight to receive his award, if you had any questions, you could ask him. But it just kind of is nice to see all the things that he done in the past year.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's where he did a great job.
that is diverse.
Mhm.
I thought he could add the Canada Helps button on the page for the playground. He doesn't mention that. That's been a video. And you notice on the page before last. He says, well, I appreciate our council's theoretical commitment to recreation initiatives. Commitment of some more actual money would be nice. Building a house of cards of stacked grants can be frustrating. We just saw what happened, right? You know, all that work. So that's 2 grants that are written. So what he's looking for, next year I will be re-examining my annual budgeting process and strategy and hope to get some more commitment. So basically, he's asking us to get behind recreation and that financially, not just saying nice words about his work. So I thought it was a,
Very honest.
you know, well said.
Yeah.
Point taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
No, but he's right.
Yes.
He's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
But he sure keeps that gym busy, you know, full of cars when I went by today and.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The tennis boards,
Yeah.
youth programming, it's great. Thank you card from, which is from the National Community Health Center, the auxiliary, in memory of Peter, we have the donation.
Yeah.
That's in our tab 13. And roundtable. Mayor.
Okay, all right. Well, I was asked to go back to the FCM on the pilot project for title project. I was asked to go back and see if what we had in our expression of interest for feasibility study would meet their expectations. So they responded nicely by saying that they could not comment on our, you know, that we'd be taking our chances when we go out to market, but they wouldn't be commenting on it. So I would just like to know if council wishes to proceed, because our next step would be to get an order of magnitude cost. How much would a feasibility study cost, a third-party feasibility study? We've identified that CBCL could do that work. MS Consulting, who were the consultants utility and review board used for NS Power, they could. And when we were talking to Matt Delorme Bain, he mentioned that there might be someone else. You know, so there's at least 3 companies, 2 at least, and maybe 3 who could potentially answer an expression of interest. So at this point, we don't want to issue it. We just want to find out if we did issue it, like what's the likely amount of money. So without that, we can't kind of shop around with our neighbors and ask who wants to be in on this project. And it's hard to apply for something if you don't know the dollar figure. So it's whether council wants us to go ahead and do that next step, which is just request order of magnitude costs.
Sorry, what project are you talking about? I was reading when you said it at the very beginning of all
Yeah,
of that.
the small scale pilot
Yes.
project. I
Okay,
have trouble getting it all out. So the next step would be order of magnitude, how much is a feasibility study gonna cost?
and where would the funding come from for that feasibility study?
Well, that's the thing, you know, you can't shop around. We know that FCM, if we're successful, would pay up to 175,000 or 50% of the costs. And then Sandy's identified the net zero application, or not net zero, carbon neutral communities. So we'd be, again, stacking multiple applications to find the funding, just usually, we usually look for other people's money first.
Right.
But we can't apply for anything if we don't know what the total is.
And the feasibility study was identified in the last grant that was.
The final obstacle, the last application we did
Yes.
said you need to do one more thing
Mhm.
after 2.5 years of
Right.
working on the repeated grant application. So they said you need a third party to certify First Nations, that the environmental standard, the capital costs of operating an electrical utility.
Mhm.
So they just wanted more around, and they gave us six or seven things. And they said, and we want it certified by third party, wanted a third party, not just us saying that this is a good thing.
Right.
Oh, and to investigate the feed-in tariff for Idle Tower as well, the Nova Scotia feed-in tariff.
Yeah.
So there were more technical things that
Mm.
we can't do on our own.
Right. My question is, so that technology, that prototype, has that been actually looked at on a large scale? Or-
No, it's been through 3 engineering reports.
Right.
The supervising director is Sue Malloy, a professional engineer. She runs her own energy company. But she certified it she certified 3 reports. So went through the Dalhousie Equatron, went through testing at Memorial University. And 3 reports later, it now has to be tested in actual conditions. It has to be put in the water.
And why are the universities not doing that testing in the water? Why would it be the town doing it? Why wouldn't universities do that?
Because they don't commercialize things, so this is a commercial product, or would be. It's an intellectual product, it's a wrong term, intellectual property. So it's not just easy to move.
Mm.
So it's beyond the preliminary testing phase. It's what they call pre-commercialization, which means you have to do a test. And there are 9 stages in the stuff we got from Industry Canada, and this is at level 9, requires testing in actual conditions. So the prototype would have to be built, and they wouldn't, and they're not large scale, they're small scale. They
Right.
go in shallow water. Now, when we're talking about how to pay for the seawall, this came up. Because one of the people we talked to, because we're talking about funding that project, so we're talking to Matt DeLorme Bain, he brought in Ian, what's his last name? He brought in the former mayor of Edmonton. He'd been mayor of Edmonton for 7 years. And he had been the lead for the big cities in Canada at FCM.
Mhm.
So he understands FCM and all the rest. And he asked us if we had any big project, like, did you have anything that could help pay for this that relates to energy renewables? And we said, yes, this project. So he's going to get back to us, but that's another potential source that we weren't aware of. Matt brought that to us. So in terms of all of this, it is in aid of paying for the seawall. So this is probably the biggest project that we would have that has the potential of replacing the Nova Scotia Power money.
And you're confident that it would
Well,
generate that?
we won't know if we can't even apply for the
Right.
grant to have the work done for feasibility
Yeah.
study.
Yeah.
So,
We,
Yeah.
I'm new to this, of course.
Yeah.
But we need to do a feasibility study.
Yeah.
In order to apply for a grant, which hopefully we'll get, then we have to find other funding partners. And this would be to fund the prototype.
so you're right, it was a pilot project and we were there, we had our funding in place, except for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So they had said, yes, it qualifies, it's a unique project. And we had 2 partners, we had the town of Kemple and we had Middleton. And we had our private person with the proprietary rights. But FCM said, well, the feasibility study that we attempted to do in-house, they said wasn't robust enough. So they said, yeah, it fits within our program, but we need this because there are too many loose ends, like the feed-in tariff, the First Nations piece, the consultation, there are just too many things, which are all technical, which were beyond what we could do on our own. So basically, if it qualifies, yes, there'd be money to pay for the feasibility study from multiple sources. Because right now, green money is sitting there, and is under applied for at the moment, but that will change quickly. And the point that we're making is Annapolis Rural is kind of ahead right now because of the work we've done on climate change. So we have an opportunity to access money right now because we have projects.
So there's money set aside to do the feasibility study is I think what we,
We'd have to apply for it, you know, we'd have to put the application
So
together.
it's gonna cost
Yeah.
first, this is just to
Yeah.
find out how much feasibility is gonna cost, and then we go try to find the money to pay for it.
Yeah, and it costs us nothing to find out how much it feasibility.
Okay.
But you have to approach.
there,
You
that's
have-
what I wanted to know.
That's the missing piece, sorry about that.
Well,
That's
there's
what I
time,
wanted to
there's
know.
always
It
time.
costs time.
Well, time,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
you
so,
know,
We've identified that there are 2 and maybe 3 companies who could do the work.
okay.
We just have to approach them for, okay, about how much is this gonna
Yeah,
cost?
and
before
then we would send that in saying, we have someone and this is what.
Well, then.
Then we find a
Then
grant.
we'd have to find them the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
well,
would be step 2.
okay, well, I guess we should, I don't know, do you make a motion or I don't, what are we,
Well, first, Sandy said it's going to take lots and lots of time.
yeah,
What do you mean by lots and lots of time?
well, if, like, once you reach out to like 1 or 2 or 3 of the companies to find out the scope, then it's to find the grant, write the grant. See if we can get the funding,
Mhm.
and then if you get the funding, then it's, you know. With this one just being a feasibility study, it's just once you know, go through the tender process and everything and it gets awarded. Then at least most of the work is on them to get it back to us on time.
Okay.
But
And the rest of the
There is
project
still-
application was written because Sandy spent 2.5 years
So-
on that already.
Are you putting a tender out to try to determine what the cost is, or you?
no, you would
ask
just
them?
go and ask them, but once you got that back, once you got the cost, like, say it's gonna be $60,000.
right,
Then staff has to then apply for the grants to fund the feasibility study at that 60K.
Yeah.
And it might be like a 50-50 grant, so then then we'd come back and say, well, is the town gonna pay the other 50, or do we have to stack the grants? So then it could be one grant would pay 50%, and then we'd find another grant to pay the other 50%. And that's where the time kind of comes in, right?
But the question that's before us now is whether or not we want to make those phone calls to find out whether it costs $60,000 or
Yeah.
whatever.
And
Okay,
you're putting 3 different companies to see what it costs.
Well, 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, we have found 2, 2 for sure.
Give us the estimate, we like it, we'll get the money, and then we'll put the tender out and put your name in. Okay.
Just the background for the new councillor, there was the scientist behind all of this did a presentation to council a number of years ago, and it
The
might be worth,
engineer,
the engineer, it might be worth packaging that together and sending it out, and I wouldn't mind seeing that again as well, just to a refresh. For the background reading.
Well, why don't we do a
That's
refresh
our recommendation.
Yeah,
after you guys find out what the cost of the.
Sure.
Yeah. okay.
There's no point until we see where we're headed, it's gonna go anywhere further. And just,
Okay.
you know, $300,000, that's a lot of money to come up with.
Yeah, but if Sam are prepared to pay 175,000 or 50%, that's what I mean. It's not lack of money, it's, you need to know how much it costs or you can't
Yeah.
apply.
Exactly,
we did slate money to the side to pay towards something that
seawall.
never
The
actually.
seawall.
No,
Yeah.
no, for this, and when the
Oh,
grant
yes,
was
yes.
declined, we didn't end up spending that money, is that still line item?
No,
ready?
because that's gone, because that was last year's budget, so if it
Okay.
doesn't get spent in the year that it's allocated, it's just
Yes.
gone.
Because our share of, had the project on board with a feasibility study,
Mhm.
FCM, we're gonna pay 80%, and the 3 municipal units together are
Right.
gonna pay the balance. And we each were gonna put in 23,000.
And our share, that didn't get spent, but that's gotten, yeah, that's disappeared now,
Yeah,
right?
and it was 23,000 at the time, it wasn't a whole lot of money.
So you guys need a.
No, we just
No.
needed to make sure.
Just letting us
yeah.
know.
We just didn't want to be going and asking questions without
Oh, sure.
knowing what we're
Yeah,
asking.
find out more information.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
great,
Okay.
Perfect. Was that all your roundtable?
that is enough.
So I am next. Well, I am way ahead of the group. But usually I'm at the end. No, anyways, on mine, I'm very short. I would like to personally thank those that were down in Sheldon County fighting this fire that occurred.
Mhm.
And the one up in Halifax. Didn't affect us directly, affected some of us more than others in the sense of. I have a lot of clients that live in that area, work in that area, and it was pretty devastating down there, so. Yeah, I just would like to say thank you to all those that went down and are still fighting down there,
Mhm.
because it's technically not contained and this technically have some issues that are going on down there, so. That's it for mine.
Hmm.
I would just like to say that I'm looking forward to the AWAC prom this Saturday at the Market Square and at the gardens, and thank you very much again to the Historic Gardens for opening their gardens up for prom photographs. It's very generous. And then, of course, graduation on June the 29th. So I just want to say congratulations to the graduating class of 2023 at our local AWAC school. That's all I have to say.
And there's a award ceremony tomorrow morning.
Award ceremony for extracurricular. Yes.
Ooh, that was a big day.
I think that's coach of the senior volleyball.
I'll see you down there.
That's good. Councilor Sanford.
I just would like to briefly talk about Natal Day. Our committee's been busy. We've had a few meetings. The theme this year is Maritime Proud.
Mm.
And the notices, I think, have all been emailed out to several businesses for sponsorship in the booklet, and that's our big fundraiser for the event. And welcome, Paul.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh, yes, welcome home.
Who do you contact if you want to upload it? Is it the community or is there?
I think that there's a link actually on town website, and I think it's also been linked to the Facebook page.
Okay.
But Katie McLean,
Okay.
she is the Marshall. She doesn't really like to be called that, just Naval Day helper.
Right.
She doesn't want to be the parade marshal, it's too official. And it does sound official, but yeah, and she's actually looking for help, and we're still looking for volunteers.
She did it with a baby carriage.
Well,
last year.
she is gonna be about 8 months pregnant, and the baby is now being lugged around, so child, pregnant, she
Yeah.
really needs help, so. And we have about 4 or 5 on our committee, so is not enough to really make it hugely successful, but we've got a couple. Oh, and yeah, I should mention that this Saturday at the fire hall, they're doing a fundraiser for fireworks. The firemen are doing the barbecue and a car wash.
Okay.
And the boot,
Yeah, and pardon?
and the boot, they're handing out the boot.
And they're handing out the boot, and all the monies collected will go towards fireworks, because we want to have a really large fireworks display.
Sounds fantastic.
Quick question about the fireworks.
Sure.
Is it the fire department that usually pays for the fireworks for Natal Day, or does it
No.
come through the town's
Towns.
budget?
It's the towns, however, last couple of years, the firemen haven't been able to put monies towards it, but they have topped up in the past.
Okay,
So we generally, as a town, roughly 5,000. And then they'll bump up maybe a couple if they have it in their budget, but this way they're doing the specific fundraiser for that event.
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
That's all weird.
Obviously, I'm new, I was just sworn in tonight, but I would like to thank the staff who were very helpful in preparing me to be here tonight. I'll also note that the word seemed to get out, that I was elected. I didn't know if it would or not. I've been approached by 100 people already, so.
That's
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Well, welcome.
So that's the end of our regular meeting. We're going to go in camera and we're going to do the approval of minutes from the 12th of April. That's what I have here, and contract negotiation. So I need a motion to go into camera.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you very much.